moving on to the show I'm going to be talking about this on this episode. Let me take a little bit of a drink of my juice. He's got the juice. But anyway, sorry if I'm an idiot. Like I said, this is what you're going to get on this show. But it's a Netflix original. I don't know. I don't want to consider it a mini series because it's not just one season. It has 2 seasons, but it's pretty much a mini series. We're talking about the end of the fucking world. It's on Netflix original series. I think came out. I think the second season came out last year in 2019. The first season came out in 2017. But it's a show that's based off of a graphic novel of the same name. It's kind of the similar genre of another sort of mini-series on Netflix that I reviewed on this channel that's actually pretty good. It's called I Am Not Okay With This. It's kind of it's not a pseudo-dark comedy. It is a dark comedy where like just some kind of absurd, R-rated shit happens, or our characters are just kind of not on the fringe of like society, but they just have different perspectives on things because of certain things that have happened to them or things that they're currently dealing with. And, this series is just kind of explores with the idea of what if you just kind of just said, fuck it, and did what you really wanted or said what you actually wanted. I think, got a weird notification, shut up phone. But, yeah, I think this film is really funny because it does explore that sort of, not trusting people who kind of quote unquote fit in, or people who just fit in always kind of have something to hide or something that's behind them that's a little bit more sinister, whether it's, they're hiding something bad or some emotional trauma or addictions or gross habits or whatever the fuck that people hide away, which is totally fine, that's normal. Everyone hides things from the ones they love or ones they care about or whatever, but like also people who have like, oh, I have nothing to hide type of people, or just kind of, it throws you off a little bit. And this show kind of explores that a little bit, which I kind of like with the 2 main characters, which is a big thing that I think the show does really well. Is the writing is great. The first episode is fucking hilarious and really gets you hooked. I personally believe. I was heavily invested in both the characters of what's the guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name? James and Alyssa are the 2 main characters. What they do is they kind of meet each other, and James may or may not be a crazy psychopath serial killer, and may or may not want to kill this other girl who somehow takes an interest in him, who her name is Alyssa, who kind of has her own emotional issues that she's dealing with. And some things sort of happen. They talk for a little bit and they end up saying fuck everything and going on some weird ass road trip where some more dark, sinister things might happen. So I don't want to spoil anything with that, but like I said, the show is very, I think, reminiscent of that other show, I Am Not Okay With This, on Netflix, which I do really like. I have similar opinions on both this show and that show. They're very similar, where they're kind of the same genre, obviously not about the same things, but I think the characters are a little bit similar, the main characters at least. Kind of deals with some type of emotional trauma, something may or may not be wrong with them mentally or emotionally. There's a fantastical element to I'm Not Okay With This that The End of the Fucking World doesn't have. But the absurdity is there. The absolute craziness is there. And the writing and like the tone and the music and the way it's shot is very similar. They're both based off of graphic novels of similar names, of the same names. So if you liked I Am Not Okay With This, you'll really like this one. But also both of them have like a sort of narration by the main characters throughout, which I kind of really liked. But like I said, the main thing that this show does really well is the development of our two main characters, James and Alyssa, and their relationship with one another. Like, James is just kind of a lovable character, and you just root for him. And I love the actor who plays James. His name's Alex Lothar. I haven't seen him in really anything else other than that one Black Mirror episode. I believe it's called Shut Up and Dance in the 3rd season. Probably the most disturbing Black Mirror episode. If you don't know what Black Mirror is, it's kind of like a hard sci-fi episodic series. I think it's on Netflix, so I highly recommend it if you're into science fiction. It kind of explores like where society is going and where technology is going to be taking them in some sort of... They're just kind of cautionary tales, at least. Most of them are pretty dark, and the one that he's in is probably the darkest and the most fucked up one. So be careful. Shut Up and Dance. It's one of the better episodes, but it's probably the most disturbing one. So, and he's amazing in that one. He's amazing in this. I hope to see him in a lot more. And also, the chick who plays Alyssa, Jessica Barden, who's fantastic. Her character is incredibly well written, I think, because she's kind of a shitty person. Like, Alyssa's kind of a shitty person, but she's also a lovable character, and you love her and you root for her as well. And you really shouldn't, but you do, mainly because of the relationship she has with James and their sort of dynamic together, and just the things that they go through, whether before or after this major event happens that kind of sets off everything else in the show. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what keeps you coming back to the show. Now, I can't really say too much else about the show without really spoiling anything, and I don't want to do that. I mean, it's technically very good. Like I said, the writing is good. Weird comparison I'm going to kind of pull out of my ass here about a show like this. I've been watching a lot of, like, you know, I'm a huge sports guy. I'm a huge sports fan, especially football, baseball, stuff like that. And, you know, the NFL draft is coming up in April, and I'm watching, obviously, a lot of, you know, draft stuff and, you know, football stuff. I'm playing Madden again, which, don't shit on me. I like football. You know, I want to play a football game. Madden's the only game. Yes, it's like the worst video game ever, but I still play it because it's the only thing that I can play. But anyway, so I'm watching a lot of draft content, and they always they use this sort of term to describe sort of NFL prospects of, like, you know, sort of a boom or bust type of prospect. So if you're familiar with football, if you know who, like, Patrick Mahomes is, he's probably the biggest name in the NFL right now. He was considered to be like a boom or bust type of prospect coming out of college. He could have either been an absolute, you know, shit show, like kind of stinks, never start an NFL game, just kind of a bust, or he could have been something that's really special, which inevitably, as we all know, happened, which is great. I mean, that rarely happens, but certain NFL teams want to take that risk, usually really high in the draft, usually early in the first round. But, you know, certain other prospects are kind of sort of, you know, considered to be having these, like, high floor, low ceiling types. Like, they're gonna come out of the draft, be a decent NFL starter, but not really gonna set the world on fire. Like, they're not gonna become this absolute world beater coming out of college. They're just gonna be a steady career, you know. Think of maybe, I don't know, the New York Giants, Daniel Jones. I mean, he's kind of being considered as a bust, but that's because the Giants took him at pick number 6, which is incredibly high. But, you know, he's a solid NFL starter, and that's kind of what people thought he was going to be. And that's what you kind of consider a high floor, you know, not going to be really bad. He's not going to stink, but he's not going to be absolutely, like, fucking amazing. And that's kind of how I would describe this show, is sort of a high floor, low ceiling type of show. Like, you watch it, you're going to at least enjoy it and not regret watching it. It's also pretty short. The episodes are like 20 minutes long, and I think there's 8 of them in each season. So what I mean, that's really nothing. I mean, that's like 2.5 hours, 2.5, 3 hours in like for one season. Like that's nothing. So yeah, I mean, you'll be able to binge it. Oh, sorry, dropping my pen. You'll be able to binge it in like 2 days. You'll be able to watch it in 2 days, basically. So it doesn't take a lot of time. It's good, has solid characters, solid writing, but like it's not going to blow your mind or anything. It's not going to be anything that you haven't seen before, which is calling a somewhere for what I said about I Am Not Okay With This. I mean, again, it's very similar to other things that have come out that in the past, and this one is a little bit similar to that. But, I think it's a little bit more unique than the other one. I Am Not Okay With This, but still, like, not going to be incredibly special to you, but a good watch. Like, if you don't have anything else to watch, like you think you've watched everything, check this one out. I mean, it's not going to take up too much of your time, and I think you're going to heavily enjoy it. I think you're going to enjoy it. At least some people might love it. If you're a fan of dark comedy, definitely check this one out. I think you'll really like it. But I mean, again, watch the trailer for it, and if you're like, I'll pass on this one, then pass on it. I mean, you can. I mean, it's not an absolute, you need to watch this show right now, but I watched it. It didn't take me that long to get through it, and I liked it. I also am a fan of dark comedy, so. Hello there, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, this is Nerd Out Sanctuary. I'm your host, Michael. What do I talk about, you say? Well, I talk about anything nerdy. So that's movies, video games, TV shows, comic books every once in a while. Books, maybe not, I don't know. Anything that I feel like talking about. I'm a huge nerd. I hope you're a huge nerd, and I hope we can enjoy our nerdiness together here. This is a full audio podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the major podcast platforms. So consider going over to those and checking out the full version of the episode. And other past episodes, please leave me a review and subscribe on those platforms. If you don't want to do that, clipped, shorter versions of those full episodes will be posted here on YouTube. So consider subscribing and liking the videos for more to support me and future content that I will be producing in the future on nerdy stuff. So yeah, thank you, and see you on the next one.